Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Rizzano, and this is episode 310 of the world famous, the University Level, the best podcast in 1, 2, 3 galaxies. Ladies and gentlemen, you and I, we just call it Online Marketing Moves, and we are coming to you live today. Today is June the 18th, 2021, at the time of this recording. Ladies and gentlemen, it is early in the morning at the time of this recording. Right now, it is 7:30 a.m. Oof. I've been up all night, so this could be this is you ever you remember when you was younger and you was like, man, staying up all night is cool. When you're working and staying up all night, it's not as cool as it used to be. There's a big difference when you're going out, having a good time, staying out all night, partying, and then going to work all night. It's a big difference. I remember once when I was in the Navy, we was in Portland. We went to Portland, Oregon. I remember we went to the Rose Festival. Shout out to the great city of Portland. This is a very, very nice city, very nice time. So we went out, me and my friends, me and my Navy compadres. We all went out. I remember some people, they was like, oh, I'm going in. I remember I had duty the next day. It was I think a Saturday I had duty. I remember it was Friday turning to Saturday night, turning to Saturday morning, and it was like 6:00 in the morning. I'm walking down the street with a stranger, and this guy said he was from out of town. He was from another country. So he's like, this is my first week. He's like, this is my first week here. And he said, America is so great. I said, yeah. I said, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And yeah. We were walking down the street together, and then he said, God bless you, my brother. And I said, God bless you as well, sir. I will see you maybe sometime down the road. Okay. And that was it. I probably never seen the guy again, but first week in America. I hope you had a good time. I remember we was at some kind of like a reggae bar club. I think. I don't know. They was playing some type of reggae music, and it's pretty nice. It's pretty exciting. But I remember it was like 6:00 in the morning, and I was like, man, I got duty in like an hour and a half. I remember my friend said, what are you going to do? I said, what we always do, sleep 30 minutes, wake right back up. Boom. But anyway, yeah, those were the fun. Life is good now. Don't get me wrong, but staying up all night, not the business anymore. All right. But anyway, today we are going to talk about mental toughness. Now, you need a little toughness when it comes to being an entrepreneur. You need a little toughness when it comes to all this internet marketing, all this, working for yourself, creating a business, creating something online. You want to be mentally strong. Why? Because there are going to be highs, there are going to be lows. There are going to be times where you're making a bunch of money, and there's going to be times where you're like, I don't know if I'm making a lot of money or not. So you have to be tough to withstand the pressure. You know what I mean? So I give an example of a mentally weak. The other night, the Atlanta Hawks, they were down by 26 points against the Philadelphia 76ers. This is basketball for some of you people. Now, the 76ers, you figure they will win the game. They're up 26 points, but they're not the most mentally tough team that I've ever seen. And so they blew the lead, they blew the game, and now the Atlanta Hawks are up 3-2. So that's an example of mentally weak. Mentally strong is, I give you another example. Mentally strong is when I remember the Super Bowl, the Atlanta Falcons, they were up 28-3. And I remember Tom Brady was just barking at his team on the sidelines. He was just barking, and they came back and they tied the game up. And then, of course, they won the game. The Falcons blew the Super Bowl. The Falcons were mentally weak, but the Patriots were pretty strong mentally because they did not give up. And a lot of times it's a matter of You know, like we could talk about this until the cows come home. The thing about what you can learn from me or any podcast, any book, the thing that because the what you do, a lot of stuff you're gonna figure out on your own. You're gonna learn techniques and all that kind of stuff, but you're gonna shape them up into the way that you would like to do them. Now, but a lot of times, a lot of us need like the mental aspect of the game because a lot of times you get like, who am I, or you get kind of nervous, or you have resistance, as I've learned as I learned in the book, um, The Art of War. Was it The War of Art? The Art of War by Stephen Pressfield. You can just look that up. But he talks about resistance a lot, and you know, you have to overcome these mental hurdles because a lot of times, and then especially when you get started with producing content, you produce a YouTube channel, you're getting no views, you're doing a video after video, you're just, going and going. And then one day you're like, I should just quit. But it's like, don't quit. Hang in there. Be mentally strong. Be tougher than nails. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when, not a matter of if. It's just a matter of when. But you want to be mentally strong. You want to be mentally ready. And it shows in like when you watch it really because I watch a lot of sports, so it really shows when I'm watching sporting events like which team is more mentally tough, which one is more mentally ready to play the game. I remember when I went to boot camp. That was one of the most um it was more challenging mentally because it was like wake up, go sleep for 6 hours, get up, go walking around. You either gonna be super hot up there in Chicago, or you're gonna be super cold. There's no beating around the bush about it. So I was in a position where I was super cold. So it's like negative 18 degrees, negative 20 degrees, and you had to be mentally strong because there was quite a few people who, the people that was talking the most, they were the ones that dropped out the fastest. Okay, and you, I was like, man, this kind of sucks, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm here for a purpose, and I was just ready to get away from my little town I grew up in, and I was ready to, be in the Navy and everything. So I was excited, and I just thought, I say, 2 months from now, I'll be in California. Like I'll be in California. So for me, that was the goal, and I was like, nothing's gonna stop me from reaching my goal. And by the end, I had tendonitis in both feet, and it was tough, but I knew that I was gonna get there. And so, you know, it's it's challenging sometimes, and man, we all want to quit. We all want to quit. Sometimes you just want to quit. Sometimes you just want to quit life. Not that you want to die, but you just want to quit life. You're like, you know what? I just want to curl up under a blanket or watch TV for the rest of my natural born days. I want to do nothing. But you have to come out. You have to participate in the world. But it's gonna be a lot of challenges. It's gonna be a lot of bumps in the road. I remember a couple weeks ago or last week, I was like, man, these podcast numbers are going up, up, and up. And then of course this week, it's kind of plateau. You know what I mean? So I'm like, man, what's going on? And you think about it, and it was one day. This happens like once a month. It's always once a month where I'm like, I shouldn't even record today. People don't want to hear me. And I'm just like, and then I'm like, nah, I gotta record. Come on now, unless it's a emergency, or unless my wife really needs me for something, then I'm gonna be here recording every day. It's just how it is. But don't don't think don't think that you're not mentally strong because you don't think you're mentally weak, because you are not. Because the reason why you're not is because it takes a lot of guts to say, hey, I want to try something new, I want to do something new, I want to change my life. That is one of the hardest things that you can say to yourself, because you have to be honest with yourself. You're like, hey, I'm not happy with where I'm at, like point blank period. You say, hey, I'm not happy with where I'm at, and I'm gonna do something about it. A lot of people don't do anything about it, and that's one of the most that's when you know that you're mentally strong, because you're like, hey, I don't like where I'm at, I'm gonna do something about it. And that's one of the most important steps. Most important step, is, of course, taking action is all that is great and everything, but you have to recognize that you need to take some kind of action. You have to recognize that, hey, I'm not happy. I'm not, I want to do something else. That's being mentally strong, because a lot of people, they will just complain, gripe and moan, and they will say, and then you say, well, do something about it. I used to know this person. They complain all the time. And then you'd always ask them, change this, change that. No, I can't. I gotta be there for this. I gotta be there for that. And so it's like, why are you complaining so much? Stop complaining, because you are happy to be here. That's nonsense. So be be mentally tough. You are already mentally tough. All right. You just sometimes you just don't know it. Sometimes it'll be certain situations. Think about certain situations that you've been in, and you're like, I got through it, and you're mentally tough. You know what I mean? Like, nothing's gonna stop you. Um, I'll tell you this crazy story about me, and I was it was one night I was in Memphis, Tennessee. If you ever heard anything about Memphis, sometimes it might not be the most safest place in the world. But I remember I had my bag and I was just walking to the truck driving school, because I didn't have any money for a ride. And so I was like, oh, it's 10 miles. Somebody was like, oh, it's 15 miles. And I was like, oh, we just gonna walk these 15 miles. And I got about halfway. I got about halfway there. I got about 6, 7 miles down the road. Then the cop saw me. He said, where you going? And I said, gotta go to truck driving school, man. He said, man, you walking? I said, I can't afford anything else. So what am I gonna do? And he said, I'll tell you what, man, I give you a ride. I said, I appreciate it. And so the guy gave me a ride, and I got to truck driving school like 2 o'clock in the morning. It is what it is, I got through it. It was, and then the cop, he said, you're a pretty brave guy for walking down Memphis like that. I said, what else am I gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. So we all have moments, we all have situations. You just have to dig deep sometimes, and you will. It's kind of, it's tough, and it's like, I don't have any more to give, but it's like, you have more to give. Give your all, be mentally strong, be the person that you can be. Because like I said, all that other stuff, man, strategies and trying to figure this stuff out, like, that's the part that's not that difficult, because you you go with the stuff that has worked from, like, forever. Don't, like, a lot of people will tell you, I'll try these new hacks, like, new hacks new hacks are old hacks. Do the stuff that's been working for people from, like, the 1800s, the 1900s, 1700s. Some things are just tried and true. It's like when people say, oh, don't be so salesy and all this kind of stuff. We are all salesmen, though. We all have sold ourselves to somebody. I mean, it's just how it is. When people like, I'm not a natural born closer, I'm not a natural born salesman. We are all salesmen. I'm selling myself to you every day. Every day I'm selling myself to you. You know what I mean? And every day you're selling yourself to somebody, whether it be your spouse, girlfriend, your boyfriend, your family. You're selling yourself to somebody. You know what I mean? So it's not all that kind of stuff, strategy and all that kind of stuff is, yeah, it's good, it's necessary, but a lot of times the biggest thing that you have to focus on sometimes is just the mental aspect. And so you want to be mentally tough, mentally prepared, because this is a long walk in the desert. You know what I mean? It's a long walk, it's a long journey, and Eventually, you will find your path. You will find your way. But until then, the journey. Sometimes you feel like, how long is this journey gonna be? How long do I have to walk by myself? But be mentally prepared. Be mentally strong. Be ready, and you will be ready. You know, they always say if you're always ready, you don't have to get ready. You know what I mean? So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the podcast. That's it for today. Go out there. You know, you can always read about people in the mentally tough challenges in life, people overcoming hurdles, all that kind of stuff. But you know, you can definitely do it. I know it, you know it. Because like I said, the most important part is you recognizing, hey, this is something, this ain't it. This ain't working for me. This ain't for me, dog. And so you want to do something different. All right. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the podcast. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. And oh, yes, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to listen to a sports podcast, now this podcast is going to be a little more local than the other podcast. You know why, ladies and gentlemen? Because I thought to myself, I should focus on the sports of Atlanta because that's where I see most of my sports teams from Atlanta. I enjoy the Atlanta teams, and plus I might be able to get free tickets if I make this podcast pretty good. But we have a new podcast in the podcast family. It's called the SportsHound. I'll leave a link in the description in the show notes if you want to give that a look-see, or if you know anybody that lives in the Atlanta area and they want to listen to a podcast about sports from a guy who knows a little bit about sports and who knows a little bit about podcasting, then you can feel free to share with them as well. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, in between time and in the meantime, this is it. My name is Tony Rizzano. Thank you for listening. And as always, everybody, peace.